What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds where it's the same year and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home? Well, Robert Jeffries and I found the gateway. Now the problem is finding a way back home. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse, a Sliders recap with Rain Coleman and Robert Jeffries II. What's up, y'all, and welcome back. It is none other than your official, and I mean it official, reviewers of none other than Sliders. This is Stumbling Through the Multiverse. We are back, season 3. Happy to be back in this thing, man. I am Rain Coleman, your co-host on this lovely ride, slide, slippity slide. Well, we are back, and of course, the man of the hour, the master player, the orchestrator, the maestro of this shit. What's up, Robert?
TikTok dancing. I will never do that again. What's going on, y'all? Gotta lighten things up. It's been a crazy ass few
months.
Shit. So that's the most we'll talk about that. But we're happy to be back.
Yes.
Happy to be back. Happy to be talking about Sliders.
Yes.
It was we were talking in the green room about how it felt like a minute, right? And it's only been like a month.
Yes.
So I think when you get so used to doing something like this, it's just like, oh, we took a bit of time away. So we're back at it. And we did some things within the month. So I'll first pass it off to Rain, to give an update on what's going on with him.
Oh Lord! So the blonde that I am, I was completely forgot that I had said I was going to finish a book on this break. Robert had to remind me, so we know who got the keys to this damn sliding ship. My second book, Love and Ashley, my first book, is out. If you ain't checked it out, check it out. Male romance, 2 black dudes in the big city trying to find love, all that good stuff. The second book, which is a novella, it is a smaller, a shorter book. You follow the lead characters from Loving Ashley through one full day. So it's like a glimpse into their life. They're happily ever after. Yes, indeed. And I'm so happy. So there isn't an official release date yet, but I have completed the book. I have about an epilogue and a little bit of a chapter to finish off, which will be knocked out this week. By the time this recording comes up, I know the book won't be out, but if there is a pre-order link, I will, of course, put it in the show notes, and y'all go ahead and show some love to your boy. But that's my literary update. What you got for us?
It's funny because I think I got, I was like, I had the one thing to talk about. And then I realized that I actually had a book to mention. So first of all, I'll start off by talking about a convention I went to 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks. And the convention, I wanted to give some love to it. It's called the Fandom Fair. It was the first time convention and located in Tifton, Georgia. So for me, it's about a 3-hour drive, there and back. So I did my first like overnight convention, in like years, to be honest with you. And that Saturday, it was a beautiful show. So I'll just sum it up and say that it was a beautiful show. I went there as a guest, and when I got there, they gave each of the guests a gift bag. But the gift bags were personalized for each of the people that were there, right? And so if you go to my Instagram page, robertk.jeffrey, I posted up a picture of the gifts that were in there, and 4 out of 5 of the gifts that were in there were Green Lantern themed. Okay. They were or like Jon Stewart. So, Rain knows this, but, my history is I actually got a chance to write a short story for DC Comics, a few years ago. And it was focused on Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern. So the fact that they did their homework, and got these little gifts, and I'm just being honest with you, it got me choked up because I've done conventions before, and I've done really nice conventions, and people have been, they've given stuff like that, but this was probably like the most personalized gift that I've received from the organizers. But aside from that, they just put on a really good show. Tifton has a really strong art community and a geek community, and it just everybody came out and showed love. So it was really at a really good time. I left on Sunday. Apparently the hotel that I stayed at had the carpeting from the Shining, so I had to watch that. Yeah, it was creepy. I'll send you the picture for that. But overall, it was cool. The city is near Valdosta, Georgia. That's more of a, I guess, if you know Georgia towns or cities, that's one that was nearby. But it was good to get a couple of days away. But it was good to go to a show and just like feel appreciated. And it was into some books. So. The second, so shout out to the fandom fair, to the organizers for that, and I'm looking forward to many years of doing more shows. The other thing I wanted to mention was this past Saturday, an anthology that I have a short story in called Terminus Volume 3. Yeah, Terminus 3. Was released at a book fair at the Georgia Indie Book Fair, and released by MV Media, which is a publisher down here run by Milton Davis. So y'all look up Milton Davis. He is one of the most preeminent speculative fiction writers out there. So we had a third volume of a series called Terminus, and basically you had to write a speculative fiction story about Atlanta. So Atlanta used to be called Terminus back in the day. So I contributed a story called Monsters on the Mount, and it's basically about creatures, creatures that exist at Stone Mountain Park. So I'll leave it at that. So if you're familiar with Stone Mountain Park and you've been there before, if you're here in Georgia, I just basically turned that racist institution into a place for literal monsters. So my short story, Monsters in the Mount, is included in this anthology, along with, I think, 20 stories by a group of talented writers, like a really talented group of writers, like Nicole Gibbons-Kurtz, Dedrin Sneed, I think I'm forgetting a lot of names, but just go to look up Terminus Volume 3, Terminus 3 with MV Media on Amazon, and you'll be able to find the book. I think it's digital and physical copies. So hopefully I'll be able to get my comp copies and show it off. But yeah, that was released just last weekend. So
good deal.
Yeah. So that was hyped. So yeah, we've been busy.
Yes, indeed. God, yes, indeed. Shout out to you. Well, you and everyone else in the Volume 3, but shout out to you. God dang it, you are just showing up.
I always say the same to you, man. You, like I said, I'm trying to catch up. Like I do the short stories and anthologies, but I have yet to like do my own book. So I'm, shout out to you.
Oh man, and listeners and watchers, viewers out there, if y'all got something going on, leave that in the comments. Let us know. Yeah. Have you written something? Shit, did you? I don't know. Hell, did you climb a mountain? Did you fucking get a new job? What did you do? It don't have to be nerd related, but celebrate yourself in the comments.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I won't be celebrating. These 4 idiots. So, season 3, we're kicking off. Season 3, episode 1. Rules of the game. As usual, for those of you who may be new here, this is my first watch through Sliders. I'm sure I watched some episodes as a kid, but like I'm grown. My memory ain't that long. So I do not watch the episode until closer to the time we're going to record. Even then, when I watch it, I do not read the description. None of that. I just go right into the episode. So this synopsis is: the Sliders are forced to play rough on an Earth where life is a simulated electronic war game. I mean, that's pretty straight and to the point. My general thoughts are that this, I think, was a, well, let me say this. I don't think they did enough. Oh no, hold on. This episode is not bad, but as a season 3 opening episode, I was like, I don't know. Now I like the episode. I want to be clear, but I was like, man, you back? This your first episode of the new season, and what? So I'm gonna leave that there. But overall, it might change when we talk about it. But this was a solid Sliders episode. I'll say that.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah,
so initial thoughts. I'm in the same camp. We we ended badly last season. And this season, it looks like the season opener kind of rose higher than that, so that was a good thing. But I'm finding that neither of the season finales, since for season 2 or season 3, seem to be able to compare to the the series opening from season 1. And I know that's a lot to ask, because the series finale should be good, should be solid enough to rememberable or whatever, just remarkable, so people can keep coming back. But the season openings or the season premieres for season 2 and season 3, because the season 2 was Into the Mystic, and then this one is Rules of the Game, they've just been okay. And actually, Into the Mystic was actually not just okay, it was like, So this one, I think that, and we'll get into it, I like the episode, but it definitely wasn't as, good as I think that it should have been, especially with a lot of new stuff that we're seeing. And that's going to be some of the stuff I'm going to touch on, because this is kind of another benchmark episode, because we start seeing Sliders going in a different direction, the TV show. So those are things I'll bring up. But if you are ready, we can hop right into it.
I'm good.
I always think like maybe I should have some music that's like dun, 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 So okay, so we open up with the Sliders sliding into, I just gave it, this is a long name, Mortal Kombat Hunger Games World, or see you at, actually I'll just call you see you at the beach world, right? That should have been my quote. It should have been, Robert, see you at the beach, Jay. So they land on a plane. They slide onto a plane, and this is the first time that they've done this. So I give them marks for that. It was actually, kind of fun in a goofy way, but it was creative, something different than them just kind of crashing into one another as usual. So they know that apparently they're still in California, I think, by looking out the window or whatever, and whatever. So Remy goes to get food, and they're just chilling. So we come to find out that Wade doesn't like to fly. Quinn is just like, but you are okay with sliding from world to world, and she's just like, get off my back. I just like to just get plane sick or air sick. And this random woman shows up, and I have not for the life of me been able to get this woman's name. Let me see. Lori? No, Nikki. Her name is Nikki. So her name is Nikki. Damn, they only have like 7 people in the cast for this episode. So let's talk about Nikki. So Nikki comes back, and she starts she says, I'm going to the beach, or let's go, see you at the beach or whatever. And she even makes a joke. Is this the scene where she makes a joke about the professor's age? Yeah. So she makes a joke about like the professor's age, and the professor is like, yeah, you better shut the fuck up, calling me out of shape. And she, so there are other people on the plane. So Quinn actually goes to look for a stewardess, and I think this is like after some time has gone by, they've gotten more settled, and he notices that there aren't any stewards or stewardesses on the plane, and all of a sudden the plane starts to crash. I think they show the outside of the plane, and like doesn't the engine explode or something? Like something catches on fire. Yeah, something catches on fire. And so then Quinn and the professor see that there are no pilots, flying the plane. And then the professor is like, let's go fly this motherfucker. And I'm like, okay, well, scientists can do everything, right?
Right.
So they can't get it under control. The professor says the autopilot's engaged. It looks like it's about to crash. And then we hear the sound of a crash. And that's when they cut to commercial. But the one thing I will open up with is that everybody had new hairstyles. So I should have led with that. So new season, new do. But we open up with this big dramatic opening. So what are your thoughts?
It was okay. I did like the plane aspects. I said, okay, you're giving us something different. I was for some reason waiting for like an oil tycoon to come out. Like somebody's like, yeah, I got oil from dinosaurs on Dino World or something. I did like that. For me, it was mainly because it put me in the mind of Tom Swift with the Swift Enterprises. Yeah. That's really it. Blonde chick. First of all, fuck her. Like, let's start there, bitch. You watch your mouth. Queen annoys me, and I don't think that'll ever change. But that lady, something about to me, these four are not inquisitive enough. They do not, because if I slide onto a plane, maybe I'm just not cultured, maybe I don't have enough money, zeros behind my bank account. But I was like, is this a private jet? Yeah. Let's try to figure out who the fuck plane this is, because it could be a monster that eats tall white men. Queen dead, now what? Or they don't. I was like, this is, first of all, where are we going? Like, just figure something out. Homegirl in the catsuit, Nikki. I mean, she's cool, whatever. Like, I really ain't got nothing against her because this is her world and she's just going off of what happens in her world. But what made me the most annoyed, one, was Queen. What? You slot? Which, I mean, he had a point, but I was also like, she's clearly having a reaction. Like, yeah, it's like I'm vomiting and you're like, what? You can eat hot Cheetos, but you want to throw up now? It's like, yeah, but I'm actually doing the thing that I'm scared of. Like, cut me some slack. The other thing was, after they did get settled and get comfortable, and we ultimately find out what this is, but before we find out what this is, them jumping into action, initially, I was like, okay, but once I watched the full episode, I was like, why the fuck ain't nobody, like, are y'all not playing the game? So first watch, I was like, okay, cool. They, what I'm saying, it's weird that Queen always has to be the savior, but it's also sliders, whatever. But yeah, I'm on a rewatch, I'm like, this is fucking stupid. I would turn this thing on, but no, it's the haircuts too. Why didn't we address that?
Well, I mean, this is okay. So one thing I'll go ahead and mention this now. This is the era of the universal backlot. So at this point, sliders have moved from Vancouver to Los Angeles. So this is the only piece of history I'm going to give you, because there's some behind the scenes ish that happens from this point on. But they moved production from Vancouver to LA, and part of it was so that the studio could have more oversight over the production, because the show was getting big, and maybe it was to cut down on costs, but part of it was so that cut down on costs, but also so that they can have more oversight on the show. So that backlot that you saw, get ready for that. Get to see it a bit. So there, it was something I was going to mention as we kind of moved along into the episode. The thing with the plane crash is I chalked it up to, like, because I think there's supposed to be like 18 teams total on the plane, and I think everybody else on the plane might have been prepared for something like that, so that's probably why nobody was rushing. But the other side of that, they haven't established that, right? They established that, like, people like, hey, maybe we got on this plane and we're ready to go, right? So that would make it even crazier that the only two people that ran up to the front were, I guess they were like, is this a part of the game? So that's the other thing about this, is that we don't really get a lot of rules. for this game. Like you watch something like Hunger Games, and they giving you rules all over the place, right? So even Mortal Kombat. So, anyways, but so we come back from the break or commercial, and everybody else, all the other people on the plane, start to stand up and walk off the plane, and so there's a voice that comes over the PA system, and that says this is level 1 of the game. So they're everybody goes out of the plane and they're in the warehouse, and the sliders are looking all confused, and they actually stay on the plane for a minute or two, and then they're trying to figure out, and then they get out, and people are collecting weapons off the table. They're like, they are getting like locked up and like locked and loaded. And I said it's like January 6th insurrection meets American Gladiators. Bro. And they're and so the sliders are like, what is going on? And I think one of the guy on the PA system says only one member of the team can represent. Well, as long as there's one member of the team left at the end of the game, they can represent the winning team. So anyway, the other thing that the host says over the PA system, and you see his face, he's like kind of a nerdy type of guy. The other thing is I've seen him on other TV shows. He's on various TV shows. So he says, hope to see you at the beach. So that goes back to the see you at the beach line. And the sliders, I think, ask her a question about it, and she says, well, if you make it to the finish line, you can make it to the beach. I think like the professor says something about, or somebody says something about just getting going on vacation or something. Like it's whatever, but we see that line come back up. So So everybody else leaves with the guns, and the professor actually has a smart idea. He says, let's just stay in a simulator. We have food, we have a place to chill. And so the warehouse actually starts to heat up, and it's heating up to the point where it's about to burn them alive. And as they, I think Quinn says, like, let's get some weapons and let's leave. And so when they walk out of the warehouse, they walk out into this suburban area, and what they're walking out of is like a house, right? Like a 2-story, I don't know, Leave It to Beaver, type of suburban style house. And back to what I was telling you about, this is another universal backlot. So this is like a part of, like you are going to start missing Vancouver as far as like that being a stand-in for San Francisco. So anyway, we could talk a little bit about that afterwards, but they run out into the suburban neighborhood, hear an explosion in the background, and there's a newspaper, and the newspaper says it's a good day to die. So it's just like, are these Cleons? But Star Trek joke. But anyways, all of a sudden, because this is this type of episode, the lawn sprinklers start shooting out lasers, right? So they're shooting out lasers. Everybody gets on the ground, and the professor and Quinn, because they apparently are the only people that could think of ways to fight laser shooting lawn sprinklers, are like, I think Quinn says something. He asked, I don't know if it's a professor or somebody else, he's like, can I get a pen? And then the professor's like, the pen is mightier than the sword. So the professor rolls, and they don't even talk about what they need to do. So the professor goes into action movie mode and starts across the ground. To the one lawn sprinkler laser shooter, and uses a pin to disable it, I guess, to kind of make, whatever. I mean, it's one of the goofiest things. And Quinn, I think, does this whole belly crawl over to the other one, stays out of its line of sight of the laser shots, and then disables it. So from that point, they get up and start walking through the neighborhood. Like I said, it's a suburban neighborhood, and a team drives by them. It's the one with Nikki and some random white guy and a random black guy who don't even get name credits in this thing, which is hilarious. So they drive by, and the professor says maybe we should follow them because they probably have an idea of where to go. So they try to go to one car, and the car looks like it's been exploded in the driver's seat. And they were like, oh, okay, well, that must have had a car bomb in it. And so they find a Hummer, And then Remy apparently gives some. I've been waiting for this whole series to get to this point.
Like,
I've been waiting. I've done my best to not say anything, and I'm glad we're here. So what Remy says, he's like, well, when I was in the Navy, I learned how to disable bombs because we learned that stuff in the Navy, and so when they get to the car, he and the professor are looking at looking at the engine, and then Remy starts to admit that he's like, maybe I didn't learn enough in the Navy, and so the professor is able to determine that there's no bomb in the car. And my question is, why does Remy volunteer himself to test the car, right? And so the car, they have this like tense moment. He turns the ignition, and then it doesn't blow up, obviously. And then they drive away to get to catch up with Nikki and her teammates. So everything from them getting off the fake plane to now, like, what are your thoughts?
this is so stupid. The magic system in this episode is the dumbest thing ever. When I say magic system, I mean the way everything works. Not even the game, which was that was so weird to. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess it's just survive, but we'll get to more stuff later. That I'm like, you didn't mention, but whatever. Nikki, she cool, I guess. My issue with her is the same issue with the magic system. This does not. So they say how important this shit is, but they don't act like. Because if I'm her and you ask me, first of all, if it's 18 teams, why is the sliders being counted? Why are they being counted at all? Like, also, motherfucker, we all got on this fucking plane. I know I don't know everybody, but if everybody who gets on are white, black, Asian, between 18 and 25, and all fit, I'm going to notice this old black man, this old white man, this random girl. Like, I'm going to notice. I'm like, who the fuck is these people? Yeah. Additionally, I'm not helping you, like, because you need to die. Like, this is even on the first watch, not like, oh, I learned all this stuff and now I'm thinking, it's just like, why are you explaining shit to them, girl? Yeah, they're not on your team. I would be lying out of my fucking teeth, like, yeah, you just gotta jump on a landmine and they're made of cupcakes. Like, why are you asking me questions? Like, it just the stakes didn't match her behavior. It's like, whatever. So the other thing my thought was, this is a fucking expensive game. How do now you tell me this, because I think I'm a little unclear. The plane, they were actually in the air, or it was just a simulation that they were in the warehouse?
I think it was just a simulation that they were in the warehouse.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still fine with that.
Yeah.
But why in the fuck are we blowing up the warehouse? I was like, who's financing this? This seems like even though it's like, yeah, kill people for entertainment, it still feels like a waste. Why is the floor on fire? It was such a weird. It felt like I have a nephew who's 7, and I'm like, hey, what is some shit that can happen to these people? Yeah. Well, the floor is lava. Like, it's like, it was so weird. But whatever. I still accepted all of that. What I refuse to, first of all, why make Rembrandt part of the Navy and then not take it seriously?
Yep.
Like, even though we don't get a lot of it, Wade is a tech not savant. She's at least eligible. What the hell am I trying to say? Smart enough.
She's tech savvy. She's like tech savvy. That's her background. Yeah.
Quinn and Professor are always doing their strong white man thing where they just know everything. You give him Navy as his backstory, and then you like, oh, maybe I didn't do it. Right. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? You would have done better just being like, oh, when I was doing my doo-wop shit, I saw a car battery. Oh, maybe I don't know enough. Because what is the point of giving him something so real that could be his thing and just pissing it all away? Like, what?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like like I mentioned before, I've been waiting so long for us to get to that bit of lore because let's just say they were like, okay, let's give Rembrandt something that kind of builds up his character outside of just talking about music all the time and being the voice of reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you cut the legs out from under him in the same scene where he mentions, and it's just like, are we going back to the joke thing, right?
Gots
So,
to.
and it just seems random just to, and that's when you're like, well, this seems even more random to give to this brother, because like time frame wise, when was he in the Navy? Was it before he
Oh,
was?
that's exactly what my issue is, because
Yeah,
now
yeah.
seasons 1 and 2, you recontextualize them, and now he's just a bumbling idiot. Because if you were in the
Mhm.
Navy, say what you want about America and our
Yeah.
war games and whatever else,
Hmm.
these people are trained. Every leg of military, of Navy,
Hmm.
them motherfuckers are trained. Even if you don't do your job well, you still get that training.
Yeah.
I still write in cursive because I learned it in the fucking 3rd grade.
Hmm.
So you can't tell me that somebody was in the Navy and they
Hmm.
don't have some sort of skills that are second nature to them. I can type
Yeah.
blindfolded
Hmm.
because I've done that since the 9th grade. So, like, what do you mean? So that was the first thing that completely pissed me off.
Yeah.
And then let me hop into this possibly
To be the
live
second.
ammunition fucking and sacrifice myself for you three. Like, what
Right.
for? For some I'm just gonna say it, for some bitches that always talk about we're not leaving without the other person. Why the fuck are we even getting in this thing to begin with? And why
Yeah.
are you okay with letting Rembrandt's black ass sit in the front seat and start this damn car? You science niggas couldn't come up with any way to start the car from a string behind a tree.
Like
Why?
MacGyver.
Why does anybody have to start this? That was such a weird fucking thing to me. And it
Yeah.
was just like, oh, of course I do it. Yes, sir, I do it, master. I do it. Let me get in here and take
Yeah.
care of y'all good white people. What are you talking about? This is dumb.
It was, yeah, like the sacrificial Negro scene. I was just like, okay. So anyway, the car didn't blow up. They drive away. And the thing I love is that the professor is holding the gun out the window, or like his I do like I respect that he didn't like point it to the
Yeah.
side and wait or whatever. So anyways, so we're on the city streets now, and it looks like a war zone. There are videos. There are vehicles that have been exploded. You hear explosions in the distance, gunfire. There are bodies of some of the gang, of the other players, that are there. And so as they're driving, they start to get shot at, and it's not bullets. Because I one of the things that I do like about this is they try to play up the whole futuristic aspect of
Mm-hmm.
things. So they're shooting like orbs of light or lasers or whatever. It's similar to what was coming out of the extinguishers, but it's still the sprinklers,
Mm-hmm.
and they're deadly. So they're shooting at the Hummer, and Rembrandt puts it in reverse, and for some reason, they get out the car. They get out the Hummer, and that's the thing that confused me. So when they get out of the car and run to like a sidewalk or like an alley, the professor leaves the wait. Is it the professor or Quinn that leaves the timer in the car?
I shit, I don't know. I just know the professor goes back. I think it
Mhm.
was,
Okay,
yeah, one or
so
two.
either way, the timer's left in the car. The professor goes back, and then one of the lasers or the orbs of whatever energy, it hits the windshield of the car, and he gets blinded by it. So the shot doesn't go through the window; it just hits it, and there's a blinding light. So he gets blinded. He gets blind. So they cut to break, and then we get back to the streets, and you hear an announcement that two of the 18 team no level 2 18 teams remain. So that's the thing. So level 2 18 teams remain, and the professor is blind. Like he can't see. His eyes are all wide. He's stumbling around. And the thing that's crazy is I think Wade was leading him, and even now they're arguing, but the professor is just like pissed off at her. Wade is like, whatever, fuck you, I don't care. And the professor says he needs some help, and then Remy steps over to help him out. And Wade and Quinn are talking while Remy's helping the professor, and Wade is like, maybe it's like a camera flash, and Quinn, like, everybody seems to be done because Quinn says to her, like, not in like a kind way, but like, why are you saying this stupid shit to me? Like, he says it's been 3 hours and he still can't see Wade, and I was like, shit, Quinn. I mean, there's another way to like relay that information.
Oh my God.
So like everybody is done, right? The professor, I understand, right? I understand. He's being even more of an ass. Everybody's nerves are shot. They're running for their lives. But Quinn, that was surprising. Like, he was just it was surprising for him. So Wade, the other thing that I had something. There was a quote. Somebody said maybe they got bad with the Super Bowl. Whatever they were. I think this is when they were talking about the society and what kind of world would have games like this. And the professor said something to the effect of like, maybe this game reflects where their society is. And that's the most that we get as far as like the little bit of social commentary or like the history of the world before we get the history of the world. So at this point, a dog attacks. In predator vision, it comes at them in predator vision, and then we see the dog, and it's like it's a Rod, right? It's a Rottweiler, right? Rottweiler, and so forgive me, but the professor swinging the gun around like this was the worst, and his eyes are all wide, and he's like this. And I'm just glad he didn't just start like letting off bullets. But Remy pulls up his gun, and the dog is behind the fence. So he pulls up the gun and points at the dog, and then the dog runs away. So we, and I'll just go to the next scene because this is going to be one of my favorites, not favorites. So we go to the streets. Nikki in her the white guy that's in her group that doesn't have a name. They're helping Frankie, who is the black guy, who he actually looks like he's Rembrandt's age. I'm sorry, like he looks older, and so Frankie got wounded, right? And I think he has like blood coming from his mouth or whatever, and Nikki says Frankie like 500 times, and I'm sorry, for me this is bad acting, and it's just like. She's just like, Frankie, we're going to make it to the beach. You remember that one time you taught me how to play catch? It was so great, Frankie. Frankie, how are you doing? Frankie, are you? And it's just like, they're trying to get us to feel empathy for a character we don't know shit about. We don't know what their relationship is. And it's his last moments. And I said the actor, Frankie, was like, let me just die. Because this is a lot. And so he passes out. He dies in the worst way. And so then she takes his medallion. Because I know you're watching the episode as we talk. So he takes his medallion and his disc to make sure that his family gets his money. So it's like taking a dog tag. So, parallels to like wartime when, a fallen comrade falls or whatever, you take the dog tag. So anyway, so the Sliders walk up to this quote unquote emotional scene and everybody pulls their guns on each other. And the thing that I love is that she's still talking shit. She was like, I thought y'all would have been dead by now. And I would have responded like Frankie. And it's just like, what? Like, hey, you want to toss strays. So, so Quinn gets them to lower their guns. And Wade asked Nikki, he says, how do we get out of here? And then Nikki says, gotta stay alive. And she gives them a device because I guess at this point not because it sounds like she was kind of, she told them like information about the games or whatever, but she gives them this advice to get into it's a safe house called a haven. So, and then her and this mute white guy, do they drive away or they walk away?
They drive away
and they don't even take Frankie's body. They just leave Frankie on the streets. So I'll end it there because it was a lot that happened. So like any thoughts from the them seeing the war zone up until Frankie's overly dramatic death?
These motherfuckers have no instinct. First of all, Wade was kind of pissing me off too. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know if she needs to be yelled at like that, but she was. I'm like, girl, get it together with your new hair. I do want to mention David Rosen, the actor who plays the nerdy dude. That was his character in Scandal. His name is Joshua Molina. For those of you,
yeah. Okay.
That's because I just started rewatching Scandal like a couple weeks ago, and look, I'm old. I don't be knowing nobody's name, but Joshua Molina. This is such an interesting turn of event. Like I'm okay with the war zone-ness of it all. I'm not okay with Quinn's hair going from like a bowl cut to like a Kendall, because that was very off-putting. The professor going blind, I did like that because I feel like that was you up the stakes in a way that I wasn't expecting. I didn't think y'all would go that way. So that was cool. I do have a gripe against Wade because I know we're in this war zone, but you're also their chemistry for having slid at least 40 times is not good. Like collectively, like how do you not? First of all, it's broad daylight. You know what? Better than that, it has to be 12 noon. The sun is directly in the sky. Everything is lit. So if I'm walking and I know you're blind and I'm leading you, why are you tripping over a shrapnel when there's a whole empty space next to it with nothing there? I'm just like, I know that this is a plot device, but like, do better. I was like, Wade, you suck. And I guess they did because he yelled at her.
Yeah.
Quinn yelling at her pissed me off because I'm like, motherfucker, you are the self-appointed leader of this group. And yeah, she might annoy the shit out of you here, but every other episode, oh, that's my wife to be. But oh no, here's this other girl who on a random world could have something that is considered a disease that I don't know nothing about, but let me put my tongue in her mouth. It's like, what are we doing? You suck. You're a terrible leader. I was just saying now, I think Rembrandt and Arturo has the best chemistry on the show.
Yeah.
They had the best chemistry in this episode. The magic system fucking sucks. Like they're not explaining anything well enough that gives me like it was fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, but they're not giving me enough that I can follow this because here's my I'm trying to I'm gonna say a piece of it. When we take off Frankie's dog tag or charm and then his also CD-ROM, my question is, what fucking matters? Because I don't want to get too far ahead, but I think you know what I'm getting at. Like,
I do.
The significance of taking that did not seem to pay off for Frankie. The other part of that specific scene, I was like, girl, shut the hell up. What pissed me off about this is the same thing that pissed me off and made me stop watching Mayfair Witches. I'm about to spoil Mayfair Witches episode 3 or 4. If you ain't seen it, I don't know, tell you, skip ahead. There is a scene where the black housekeeper lady helps the like medicated catatonic mom who's the niece or whatever. She didn't help her leave, but she didn't stop her. Fine. When they go and decide, the aunt who owns the house, that she's going to put the spirit of Lasher, this like demonic entity, into another body, they decide it's going to be the black woman. I don't like it, but whatever, it's part of the show. When she sits down with this woman, what she says is, I don't remember her name, I'm gonna call her Doris. She was like, Doris, remember when we saved you from your husband who was beating you and you don't have any family and we opened our home to you and this and that? And I was like, why am I hearing this out of your mouth and not out of hers? She could have easily said, hey, how long have you been with us? And Doris could have been like, well, you remember when my husband beat me? And then, you guys picked me up. That's the same thing here. I understand that he's an extra and whatever else in the 90s, whatever. But why is this woman delivering all of his lines?
It's bad.
She's like, oh, your family. I'll make sure your family. Who is this family? Also, this pissed me off. again, I get it that these are extras and you ain't trying to pay everybody whatever else, but like you said, it was 7 fucking people in this episode. Why couldn't they, as a group, Nikki and Frankie and a mute white man, walk to the back as a team and be like, "Oh, what are y'all doing here? What do you think you're up to?" And you could have been like, "Oh, I'm going to go to the beach," and then Frankie be like, "Well, I'm going to make sure my daughter gets to the beach," and the mute guy could do sign language or something. But it's like, why is she delivering his lines? I don't give a fuck. I don't care about him. I really don't care about her. But I don't know. Let me stop there because I can rant.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a perfect rant because so a couple of things. I think that I'm sorry. I don't think either of those dudes could act. I'm just saying, like, and they gave them like no lines because when the brother was sitting there, he was like,
"No, yeah." I was like, "What exactly is wrong with you?"
Right. For the people who are listening to this, he has this like like this bad, like, I'm about to die. So it might have been a good thing that they let the brother talk, but that does even with bad acting. And Sliders has bad acting. I'm sorry. Like, it's like any show. He could have had a couple of lines, like you said, so that it sounds like bad delivery. Like she is doing an info dump. And you do, in addition to that, you're taking away this character's agency in his final moments of life. That's why I was just like, it didn't sound to me like, I don't care about y'all's relationship. Like he was like, Frankie, you remember that time we went surfing at the beach? You know, that type of shit. So it was a bad moment, and the brother was just like I said, they don't give anybody else credits in this episode, even the other people who died.
What?
It's weird. So so in the city, we go back to the streets, and I said they find the dog from Martin. You remember that they found a dog from Martin, the plush doll. And what they figure out is that the dogs were robots, right? So I'm like, okay, this is a shitty society that you have this advanced technology and you're using it to create killer robots and whatever. So lifelike robots. So they get to the safe house, the Haven, and it's kind of run down, but it's a place where they can chill for a few hours. There's food, there's rooms for them to rest and water. And there's another announcement that comes through that there are 16 teams left and 22 hours left, and they have 22 hours until they slide. So they got about a day, just under a day. So once again, the professor is pissed and he's yelling at Wade. I really needed them to like divvy out his bullshit because like, you know who doesn't catch it? Quinn. The only two people that catch the professor's anger is Remy and Wade. So I don't know if that says something about whatever. But Remy doesn't act like he's in the Navy. He starts hitting cameras and said, "What kind of world gets off on seeing people get hurt?" And I was like, "The one from that you come from." It was just like they keep acting like our world is this like idealistic. I'm like, brother, they Roman games. They were doing this in the Colosseums back in the day. Yeah, and so they have a moment with the professor talking shit to Remy, to Wade, but then Quinn comes over and he's like, "Quinn, every teacher goes through life hoping they'll have a student like you." It's just like, where is this coming from? Nowhere. So they go back out to we go back out to the city streets, and we see a bunch of Master Chiefs start patrolling the streets. So it's just a bunch of like robots, like, you know, with guns or whatever. And we learn later on that they're like androids. So then we come back to Haven, and I'm assuming a few hours have gone by. Quinn wakes up and sees that the professor is not there. So he wakes everybody up and he goes outside and he sees that the professor has gone outside, apparently to use the bathroom. And I was just like, you had like 5 corners. If there was not a room like to do, I mean, somebody would have woke up and say, "Well, it smells like piss in here," but hey, I get it. But he's fallen down because he's too proud. And apparently he fell out of his shoe. which was like, damn, he fell out of his shoe and he hit his head. So Quinn helps him up. Quinn helps him up, and then Wade comes out trying to look for her to see where they're at, and then she looks off in the distance and she sees the androids approaching, and they get back inside the building. Quinn shoots one of the androids. And then after the android shoots a blast at them. So what happens is that Remy takes the professor, and they get separated from Quinn and Wade, and the door is shut. So Quinn tells them through the doorway that if you get to the finish line or if you get closer, fire off 3 shots so that we'll know that it's you. I mean, it's just a way to identify, them. So because at this point, it's about to turn night, so they're not going to be, So let me see. We can talk right here from when they get to Haven and when they leave Haven. So actually, no, let me go through the next scene right quick because this is crazy. So because I want your immediate thoughts on this.
Yeah.
So they show Wade and Quinn go to this alleyway, and Quinn is like trying to figure out what to do. He's like, looking out to make sure that they don't get shot. And then Wade sees a hopscotch, game. And she's like, you know what? Let's play Death World Hopscotch. And she starts talking about losing to kids back in the day. And apparently as she's telling the story about playing a hopscotch game against this boy that she used to be friends with or have a crush on, Quinn starts to, once again, he's noticing that all around them in the alleyway, there are nails on the ground and there are nails embedded into the walls surrounding them. And she's still telling the story as she plays hopscotch. And when she gets to the end, she turns around and, she's doing the jumping, and this pole rises up with all these nails in it. So Quinn sees it and tells her to stop, but also asks her, like, how much does she? So basically, he explains that he tells her, at first I think he said don't look, but then she does look back. He has her look back and see, and because the thing is if she jumps, then everything's going to explode. So the nails are going to jump, get shot out. And so he starts asking her, how much do you weigh? And she lies, ha ha ha. And then he's like, she tells him the real weight, because what he's going to do is try to estimate the weight of something just as heavy and put that on top of the sensor. So I think what he does is he takes a board, puts some rocks on top of it to act as if she's still standing there. But when she jumps off, he and her run around the corner, and there's a delay. And then the nails shoot out, and maybe that's when they embed themselves into the wall. And anyway, so the nails are shot out, and they get away. So that's when it goes to break. So everything from when they get to the Haven to the hopscotch nails or death match nails or whatever.
This is so
dumb.
Okay, so Professor, he is ornery usually, but I'm okay with that because, hey, I'm blind. So you motherfuckers need to help me out. So I'm okay with that. Him cussing everybody out, but Quinn was like, it was so out of left field to praise Quinn in that way when Quinn hadn't done anything this episode. Like, I know I give Quinn a lot of shit, but they do set him up to be like the perfect man. So I understand what the show is doing, but this scene, this moment to be like, oh, you're the greatest student a teacher could ever have. That is weird. Like, he hadn't did shit. He didn't do nothing. Also, you have a son. Where's your child? Where's your child? What, you ain't paying child support? So all of that, whatever. Him falling down to use the bathroom, also weird, because not to be like too freaky or perverted with it, but like his pants wasn't down. So I was like, what were you doing? Like, if you pissing, sure, you could just stand up and pee. But if you're doing your number two, there had to have been a bathroom in there. Like, you mean to tell me you've lost all sense of like how houses work? Also, and also, why are you going outside without an attendant when there's a war zone? That's my thing. Sure, be proud, but like, it's not like, I don't want you to watch me pull my junk out, but also I need you to watch me pull my junk out so I don't get shot in the head because I can't see. After that, why I say the magic system is fucked up. David Rosen has already told us that you can chill at the Haven. Why are there droids allowed to shoot at us in the Haven? Then this doesn't make any sense. And I would be okay with it in like a Hunger Games style of like, here's the twist, but you never establish shit like you should. So to be like, so when the four ran back into the Haven, and then those two androids, some Judge Dredd droids, came in, I was like, this feels weird because why give me the I was like, okay, maybe relax because you're thinking too much into it, but it was weird. Why you shoot me inside the safe zone? Whatever. Wade, and I know it's not her, it's the writing, but what the fuck are we doing? It's like they don't know how to write women, but sometimes they do. Oh, of course the girl wants to play hopscotch. What are you talking about? What are we doing? What is the point? Like, we just got separated. One of our cohorts is blind. We've been separated. We have machine guns. We need to shoot 3 times in the air to see if we near each other. And I'm about to stop him. And I get like brevity or levity or whatever in the midst of like chaos. But this was so awkward because they literally just moved out of the space they were being shot at. I'm not dropping my gun for nothing. No matter what gender I am, I'm not dropping this gun. And I think that scene would have been maybe more effective if Wade had been the one to like notice the nails, or like, not to say Quinn needs to play hopscotch, but like there's other ways that could have been done. I because, and this is me being a well actually guy, when you look at the hopscotch chalk outline on the ground, it's just concrete. And so when she skips, and then they do which I really love that shot when she stood up and it zoomed into her. What is it, like a whatever it's called? And then the thing was behind her, but there's nowhere on the ground where that could have came from, unless it was like I don't know, that bothered me, but that's a me thing. And also the fact that and this may be me being a little bit too woke, but the fact that she's playing hopscotch and then also talking about a boy she liked. This is not a 9-year-old girl. This is a grown-ass woman. Why does everything have to go back to like... this really upset me. Because one, you already got her doing stupid shit and getting cussed out by everybody else. But yeah, so this part of the scene in particular really pissed me off, because now it's like, oh, of course Quinn is going to notice everything and do this whole, I don't know, leverage Daredevil type shit and deduce that this is what's going on. It's like, why is Wade not getting a little bit more shot? Like, she's just the annoying kid sister. She's DW from Arthur. She's DD from Dexter's Laboratory. She's not doing anything. And I was like, man, do y'all hate women?
Except getting yelled at, right? Except
that's it.
Except getting yelled at. Like, I think with that scene specifically, because once again, like, my memory is such that I don't remember every detail from every episode. I know generally speaking what was going to happen. So I'd forgotten about that hopscotch part. So one of the things that I thought was, like, you could have simply had either made her or Quinn accidentally step on the wrong pad, right? And and maybe she could have, and maybe if you want to have somebody telling that story, she could tell it in a way that is not as lighthearted. Or you could have Quinn tell the same story in a way that's not lighthearted, because if you had her be the one to, I like that idea of her being the one to notice the danger, while Quinn, like, maybe he accidentally steps on it and it's like reminiscing. It gives her more, I said this before, more agency, rather than, because like at this point, all she's there to do is to be a sounding board for one of the other characters, or to she says her and Quinn have several conversations, but they're not like the professor talking to Remy in that one scene, or the professor talking to Quinn, and with this random ass shit. And that probably could have been their moment. But yeah, like I think it comes back to this whole thing of, and I'll look at the writers, but if you don't have people representing, the characters, the people that they're writing, in certain cases, then you you lose that. You lose an opportunity for her to do more than just be yelled at throughout the episode. So
true. Now I do want to correct something because I misspoke because I was so angry. Everything I said about the thing popping about the ground is actually I was incorrect. It did come out of the the circle at the end of the So because I was like, that makes more sense, it's right there. And now that I'm looking through, it actually did. So shame on me, but still, fuck this show.
No, that negates your whole argument. No, I'm just like the positioning. Yeah, no. So we go back to the streets. Remy is offering the professor food. They're I think they're stopped at a like a truck or some car or whatever, but they're just taking a moment to catch a breath. And the professor has suggested that Rembrandt leave him there, and Remy is just like, no, I'm not doing that. And so apparently now they've established that the professor has served in the armed forces. And the professor is like, well, if you were back in the armed forces like me, we both know that sometimes you have to leave a man behind. And Remy is like, I ain't with that. He doesn't say that, but he's like, I'm not going to do that. And so the professor is like, well, I can't, there's no point. See, this is weird, man. Like I understand being distraught that you're blind, but he completely like nosedives. He says he says there's no point in traveling to other worlds if I can't see them, and it makes me think, does the professor hate blind people? Like it was very extreme. I can understand being depressed. Like the argument about leave me behind, I get that. I understand that, but then also you have the mention of the military, which they established before. So anyways, so then Remy tells a story about he had a friend who was in the Navy who went blind from his diabetes, and as a diabetic, I was like, oh Lord, shit, like this is too real. So he says, so anyway, so friend went blind from diabetes. He had dreams of going to Paris to become an artist, but because he became blind. Oh wow, y'all are getting live. Hold on for 1 second.
All right. So yeah, I will say this. When I was a kid, my one of my aunts went blind, and though this is this zany sci-fi show, seeing these things with Arturo, however much my emotions may be reaching, really did like do my heart some good. Not because my aunt was like blind in a war zone, but a lot of the things I'm seeing, I'm like, okay, this like I don't know, like you might smell a certain cookie, you're like, oh, my grandma used to make that. And so it was really a walk down memory lane for me watching this, and just being a kid, helping her walk around the living room and thinking I'm doing something. First of all, she didn't need me; she had all the equipment she needed. But I'm like this little kid trying to help her out. So I don't know. I'll say that part of the episode for sure makes this probably a higher rating than I should give it. But oh well. But go ahead, Robert.
Sorry about that, y'all. My phone apparently was got a toll-free call from some random person. So anyways, this is what happens when you record live. So I don't know if it's live, but anyways, so he told the story. His friend became blind. Rather than become an artist, he becomes a sculptor because he can use his hands. And so he's trying to tell he's explaining to the professor that you can still live your life, right? If this is permanent. And so the professor is like, fuck that noise. He just starts walking on his own. And then he walks into something. And it's this moment where Remy's just quiet. He lets the professor just yell. And, he starts saying, well, come and help me, man. And then Remy doesn't say anything. And then the professor's like, he starts getting concerned. And then Remy, you see him in the background, and he finally comes over to help him out. Because like I said, as much as they bicker and I don't know, like he been treating Way like shit. They always establish that they do love each other, right? There's this like camaraderie that has been built between all four of them, and Remy at the end of the day is still going to have his back, right? So anyways, so it was a good scene. I actually really liked Rembrandt. I think this is probably Rembrandt's best scene throughout the episode. So we go back to Quinn and Wade. Quinn shoots off 3 shots, because they're still looking for the Remy and Professor. They take a moment to rest, have 18 hours to slide. And then Wade starts asking hard questions. It's like, what if we can't find them? And Quinn basically says, we're not leaving without them. So, that's the long and short of it. I think they, talk about some other stuff, but that's the biggest thing that comes out of it for me. So then we go to a warehouse where Remy and the Professor are inside, and the Professor is walking into like wires that are hanging down, and he starts to hear a humming sound. And Rembrandt doesn't really notice it at first. So he turns around, and as the Professor, I think, mentions the humming again, one thing that we notice is that there's this behind Rembrandt, it looks like it's a giant web. And what happens is it's activated, and that's the humming that I guess maybe like the start or whatever. Rembrandt is pulled back in a shot from a Spike Lee movie, directed scene, like with his gun up, and he is attached to this magnetic web. So he starts to describe to the Professor, like, what he's on, and he asks the director. He directs the Professor to shine a flashlight up at the the structure he's attached to, and basically what happens is I'm just going to say this now. It's the 90s. It's 96. You're going to have to give it some grace because of the special effects. It is what it is. I think that's just going to be with anything as far as what you see on the show. So I'm cool with it. But he tells the Professor to shine his light up, and he sees 3 robotic spiders, and they are I guess they're pincers or their fangs or whatever you want to call it. They have electrified faces or fangs or pincers. So they're all climbing down. They start climbing down towards Remy, and what Remy tells the Professor is like, what I need you to do is hold the light at the end of the gun as basically as a pointer, and he says, I'm going to direct you on how to shoot, where to shoot. So the Professor's like, I can't do it, and then Remy's like, motherfucker, I'm about to die, so I'm not about to get got. So anyway, so the Professor takes the light, lines up the barrel of the gun. I think he misses the first shot, and then he shoots the first spider. I think he shoots the second spider, and in between each of these shots, it's like a tense moment. So he's not hitting them all at once. And then the last one gets closer, and Remy is able to finally get his finger on the trigger. And I think Remy shoots the last one, right?
True.
Yeah, so Remy shoots the last one, and then he's released from the magnetic web and goes back, and he and the Professor leave the warehouse. So going, from the scene of Remy and the Professor saying, "Leave me there," to this scene. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I want a super cut of just Remy and the Professor scenes put together, and then I watch that on
That's
the
it.
rest of this shit. These idiot. No, that I enjoyed both of those scenes with them. I think it was a nice little arc too. Them helping out, kind of arguing a bit, then getting to that little checkpoint where it's like they're full on. You need people. I don't need people. I could do it myself. Leave me. Like it was really, really good. Having them the spider thing, I just thought was done expertly well, because it's for this to be like a generic backlot that you could just shoot any type of, because it looked like the set of Desperate Housewives with Wisteria Lane. Like it just looked like a regular, like, so to have them really work those kind of camera angles and also those shots, because the same shot that we just did with Remy in the web was similar to the shot we had with Wade in that podium with the nail. So I will say they were trying some things with this episode that I thought really helped it. Few and far between, but still not bad. I really, really, really like the way they work together for that spider thing, and it really pisses me off that they have such good chemistry, but yet with Quinn and Wade, they didn't work together. she's lying about her weight because I'm such a girl and you can't know how
Yeah.
much I was. Like, girl, what? But then you got these two men working together, one with a um disability or handicap. I'm not sure what's the most PC term to use, but even with one of his senses gone, we still get a very solid scene where I'll even say if we got that same scene but replace Remy and the professor with Nikki and what is it, Freddie, Frank,
Frankie, I think.
Frankie.
Frankie.
I
Yeah.
think that's bad acting aside. I think that
Yeah.
still would have been a good scene because it was a good, well done scene. So I don't know, as many praises as I'll give them, it just highlights how terribly they did Wade this episode. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So we head back to. So at this point, I call it the European city streets. It had like a Mediterranean type of vibe, and shout out to my nerddom. This backlot was used in several Star Trek Voyager episodes, holodeck episodes, to stand in for a quaint Irish town. So Wade is what were you so we started getting weird ass conversations like Wade is like, what were you thinking when the plane was going to crash? And Quinn is just like, I don't know, we about to die, it's I didn't put too much stock in it because I was like, this is, as we talked through this and we mentioned how they did Wade, that's not the type of, I don't know, maybe it's a good conversation. Let me not say that it wasn't her talking about being having a childhood crush. So this makes sense, but because I think the conversation, it feels like it's a kind of a relationship type of vibe, that kind of thing. And we've talked about how this on again, off again thing. I just immediately was like kind of shrugged it off. So, anyways, they did this woman a disservice. So anyway, so they have this conversation. They get chased by the androids, and as they turn the corner, Nikki jumps out and shoots the not the Master Chiefs, the androids, and it looks like she's hurt. Yeah, she's hurt, and kind of falls out, and then it goes to break. So the next thing we see is that they've helped her out, I guess, kind of nursed her back to health, and it's nighttime now, and they're on the top of a roof. And this is when we get the history of this world. And this is the worst explanation one of the worst explanations for a world that I think I've heard in a while, because it's not, and I guess maybe you don't have enough time to really go into it, but it sounds so damn generic. She says, what'd you say?
I said true.
Yeah, she says the country was on the verge of a civil war, so the government outlawed all games. It was just like, what does a civil war have to do with games? And so then she says, well, the people wanted to be entertained, so they started the games, and they built a wall around the city, which apparently was their kind of like not the best part of the city. And I think, and she says the teams are sponsored, and they're sponsored to win $5 million. And she says, talk about sliding into the wrong, because I guess at this point they've explained to her, why they, who they are. And she says, talk about sliding into the wrong place at the wrong time. And she does mention that her team was killed, so she's going to take their tags to the end of the mission, and the money will be divided between the families of the deceased and the living. So that's the only explanation we get for this world. So Quinn decides to take the first watch because that's it. So we go back to the streets. Remy and the professor are chasing to another alleyway, and the professor, I gotta give it to him. He tried, but he was like, him waving that trash can around, like and it looks ridiculous. And then Remy starts using a 4x4. I said 2x4, 4x4, whatever, to fight the dog from Martin. Hits a dog off screen. And then the dogs they leave, so that's that. And then they Remy and the professor they rush off somewhere else, and then we go back to the roof, and I think it's getting closer to morning. Nikki takes over for Quinn, and he says they have about 2 hours before they have to slide, and he says that will you and your girlfriend leave the others behind, and she's like, he's right. He says that ain't my girlfriend. He doesn't say it like that, but it's another chance for him to reiterate we're not leaving them behind. So I'm like, that's like 2 or 3 people asking you this question. I think the first time with Wade would have been okay. So, and they both at that point decide to team up to make it to the finish line. But she says that if I die, can you turn in my medallion? And so he's like, yeah, because I'm Quinn. So because the end, because we're reaching the end, any thoughts going from the, them making it to Europe or to like the Mediterranean to countryside or whatever city to the second roof scene? Any thoughts?
This is stupid. I need for us to run into the pretty girl and let Arturo and Rembrandt be found, but like it's clear that they always want him to have this love interest. Yeah. It's a slap in the face to Wade because she's always around. I think all in all, it was okay. I was all right with. By this point, I was like, whatever, they're gonna do what the fuck they want to do. But the sliding explanation, and I don't know if I want to bring this up now or later, but I'll say this much: the magic system is shitty because how do you fucking win? Because it seemed like they changed the rules 3 different times, and I'm gonna leave it there until we get to that point. But I was like, so even that conversation about the medallion, I was like, let's get there to get what? What are we doing? So that's all I got. That and Professor keep hitting them dogs. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay, so we go back to the city streets. We're in the end game. So it turns into Call of Duty meets Halo. The last team of, I guess it's a trio of guys, just random NPCs, I'm going to call them at this point. They just get shot by the androids. And I'm going to say this right now. The fact that the sliders were able to survive when everybody who's been raised on these games just died like randomly. One brother was hurled back onto I think they just hired stunt doubles. So anyways, to play these roles because they didn't say shit. So anyway, so the funny thing is that the humor in this is dark at times because you hear the announcer say there are 3 teams left, and then that team dies, and he's like, oh, okay, there are 2 teams left because it's the lady representing her team in the sliders. So Quinn starts shooting. He shoots his gun 3 times. Remy and Professor hear it. I just say there are shootouts and more shootouts. These robots are horrible shots, but they are shooting enough that they're able to. It looks like Quinn and Wade and Nikki are making some progress, and then they get pushed back, and then they cut to Remy and the professor, and you never see, like Remy shoot, and it's like, in the same shot the robot gets shot. It's just like they cut to like a shot of a robot getting shot or whatever. And then the professor at one point says, what can I do? And Remy's like, shoot left. And as he shoots just randomly, he starts to see his sight is starting to come back. So an android almost kills Quinn, and then Nikki jumps in. She saves him. And then after that, an android kills Nikki, and then Quinn takes her medallion, and by this point they've met up with run into the professor and Remy. So final level, Quinn says he's going to turn in the medallion. So they see there are 2 androids guarding this like machine that they have to put a medallion. They have to put her medallion in, and one of the things that in the alleyway that they're in, I don't know if the professor sees a fire extinguisher or whatever, but he says that they can use a fire extinguisher because it has CO2, and because the androids read heat signatures, the CO2 will mask them as they're going to trying to get up to the to the box. And he drops anyway. So he carries Nikki's body, and actually more than Nikki did for Frankie, which was hilarious. He carries her body up to as Remy is shooting the fire extinguisher towards the androids. They go up the steps. He puts her body down by the box, and he puts and it's funny because as he's putting the medallion in the box, the announcer says, "Hey, you can't do that." And then I think Quinn says, "Watch me," or whatever. And then he puts the medallion in, and this horribly photoshopped image of the team pops up. It says Team so and so, and they give the name of each of the people that won the competition, and then at that same moment, Quinn opens up the portal, and the androids just walk off because it's the end of the game. He opens up the vortex. The professor can see the vortex, and he jumps in first. Remy jumps in, Wade, and then Quinn looks at Nikki's body at the top of the steps, and then he slides in and looks sad, and that's how the episode ends. So,
yeah. This shit.
This
is where my issue come in. Do you win the game when one of your people makes it to the end? Do you win the game if you have a medallion in the machine? Or can you just decide to join forces and make a new team and then win? Like, whatever. I'm taking it for whatever it is. But not once did Nikki say, also, if I die, take Frankie's or Freddie's medallion and put his in, because you had it. You set it up like someone from the team has to win for all families to get it. But then it was also, now the medallion is what makes you win.
Yeah.
Which is also like, well, why not? Where's Kent's? Because that's the white man's name who didn't say nothing. Yeah. Where's his medallion? Like, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And then, does the game not care that there's this extra team that's just here just doing shit? Like, who was accounted for? Also, the fire extinguisher thing, I get that, but if the androids can read heat signatures, would they not also read that the maybe temperature drop? Like, I could see these. Whatever. Maybe I'm getting too deep in the weeds, but the game itself, I thought, was done poorly, and it left more to be desired. Because I still don't understand. Like, I guess the idea that I'm American and they get $5 million, that's the thing. But my thing was, okay, you go into this game, I think of it like the lottery.
Yeah.
The lottery world. You go into this game, you could die, but the payoff is your family getting all this money. But why does that matter? I mean, yes, people want money, but why does that matter? Is it like money will buy us out of this war zone? Like,
I mean, when you give like the most basic ass lore background to this world, it doesn't really help, you know. I mean, we had more. Now we kind of have a similar situation. The last, I think it was the lottery for the season finale for season 1.
God, yeah,
kind of a similar, but they actually explained what was going on in that world. Now we had questions. I remember you had questions then about, if a world is so perfect, what does money matter? How does money matter? Right. So in this case, where it seems like, well, they went through a civil war, if they had explained more about like the state of the world, then that would have been a very good explanation. That it would have explained, how the money would come. The only thing I could think of, I think that definitely they didn't really, set any rules about, did you need all 3 medallions? Did it matter if just one person got there and then tossed their medallion in? Because there's no sense in taking his giant CD-ROM off his chest, his Flavor Flav CD-ROM off the chest put in there because Quinn only put hers in there, and then when she put hers in there, like I said, that horribly photoshopped image of all three of them popped up. So
which they were all on set at the same time. You couldn't have taken a picture of them.
A picture.
Like they were together. Oh.
You could have taken a picture of them like in the parking lot of the Universal back lot. Like,
because who would know? Like, whatever. This is before the internet. It really got big. Like, so what?
Yeah. It was weird. So, okay, so we'll start with who's your favorite and least favorite character?
My favorite is Remy. I really enjoyed him this episode. By extension, him and Arturo together, but I think Remy was the most level-headed. His storyline with the professor was the better of all of them, and I don't know. I just liked him here. Wade got yelled at, Quinn got on my nerves, and I would have given it to Arturo if him going blind altered him enough. Like he was still the same person. So like whatever. My least favorite is Sonya Blade. I mean, it's Nikki. I like why is you here? I don't know. Whatever. It's Nikki. Trash.
So my favorite is as he's referred to on IMDb, Egghead Announcer. Yeah, I liked him because he kind of was really leaning into that humorous, sadistic host role. You know, so it's funny because there's a remake of The Running Man that's going to be coming out this year, and Coleman Domingo is playing the host. And when you see him in that trailer, he has this like unhinged, like game show host type of vibe. So that's what the host of this reminded me of, was especially because I think the most humorous parts came from him talking about the games. And my least favorite character were the toy dogs. So because it just I don't know, like it was just something goofy. Like when they showed the dogs, like they showed that dog leaned over and it didn't look real at all. So what about your favorite and least favorite scene?
My favorite scene would have to be the spider web scene. I think all of their scenes together, Arturo and Remy, were really good. But if I have to pick one, it would be that one, mainly because they were able to work together. Like that's what I want to see more of, working together as a team. And we get that with the professor and Quinn all the time, but we don't get that with everybody else. Least favorite, I want to say Frankie's death, just because, like, Nikki, what are you talking about? Like, get out of here. That's like, honestly, I could probably forgive everything else, but that she did a terrible job. Frankie did a terrible job dying. Kent was just like, I'm here with good hair. I'm gonna say Frankie dying, because that's the one scene that I'm like, we could have just pulled that, scrapped that shit all together.
So my favorite scene was actually the first Remy and Arturo one, when they were in the streets, and Arturo was like leaving behind, and Remy was just like, just kind of going in, properly, is warranted. And I felt that was like, it was an emotional scene. It was actually really good acting on both of their parts. And least favorite scene was pretty much every scene of Wade getting yelled at. I just and it's nothing on Sabrina Lloyd's part. I just think that the writing, for how they handled the character was not the best. I just and it makes me like sad for her. There are stories about John Rhys-Davies, John Rhys-Davies or whatever, the guy that played Arturo, going in on the writers. Like he was, and I don't know if it's specifically about with her, but he was a vocal critic of the writing. So I wonder if this was like some of the stuff that he saw, or maybe I hope that, they weren't just kind of taking, stuff like this and not really kind of bringing it up, like we, they should have done better, with
Yeah,
her. So,
I agree.
um, as far as ranking, I guess before ranking, do we get final thoughts, or I guess that could be a part of it.
Mhm.
I mean, as a part of your ranking, give your final thoughts, but like out of, let's say 10, I say Master Chiefs, but also Rhythm Nation soldiers, androids. Out of 10 of those, how are you going to rank this? And what are your final thoughts?
Mm, I Remy and Arturo did a lot of heavy lifting for me,
Yeah.
so I think I'm going to do. Oh, no, I'm going to. Oh, I want to do 6, but I'm gonna do a 5.5. And this is the one ranking where I feel like it's probably lower than what it deserves. But with this
Hmm.
being an opening episode for a new season, the way Wade is depicted in this episode,
Yeah.
still finding a way to shoehorn in, no matter a war zone or not, Quinn and this love interest.
Yeah.
There's a lot going for it, but there's a lot that if this was a second or third episode, I probably would feel better about ranking it higher. But I'm gonna do a 5.5 again, not because I didn't enjoy it, but it's the same situation which last season where that penultimate episode should have been the finale, and then you
Hmm.
get just regular ass we going to the movies ass episode like so I got to do 5.5. Final thoughts. This was a fun episode. Despite the
Hmm.
critiques, I thought this was really fun. I liked the new look on everyone. I enjoyed the surprise of like Arturo being blind. I enjoyed the surprise of him getting his sight back because I mean we knew he would, but I like the way those were done. Um, I, when are we gonna meet a fat woman? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I
Hmm.
say that not to be this like jokingly
Yeah.
thing, but it's like every time we meet another woman, it's like, oh, this beautiful, slim, slender woman who
Yeah.
has eyes for Queen. You can't be everybody's type. Like, when are we going to? But overall, this episode does get me excited for this season, but it also has me equally nervous about what's to come because we're 2 seasons deep, and Wade is just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, y'all, I'm hanging out. I'm chilling with my big brothers." Like, I don't like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so for me, as I'm somewhere between actually, just talking it out. I'm between a 6 and 6.5.
Okay.
Um, yeah, 6 and 6.5. I
Mm-hmm.
was going 6.5 to 7, but the more I think about it, like 6 to 6.5 is probably more accurate.
Yeah.
As far as how I feel about the episode, I think,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, Professor and Remy, their part of the show did a lot of the heavy lifting. I think this is another kind of wacky, in a more violent way, wacky world,
Yeah.
type of episode, which I enjoy because it's not, just one. We always say this alternate history, but it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because I think that if they had gone into the specifics about the Civil War and this,
Yes.
maybe it might have leaned more towards that. But the genericness, I hated. I just hated the genericness of the background. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that kind of really takes me out of it is how they were doing Wade this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It probably, like, if they had given her more to do, we've said this before, more agency, this would have been
Mm-hmm.
a 7, right? And I
Yeah.
think I always say on IMDb it's like a 7 point something. We are at a 7.2 out of 10. So
Mm.
yeah, we're kind of in the ballpark. But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just becoming very apparent, that they're not doing her right, you know. Um, so for that, it'll fall between 6 and 6.5. So
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair. And not doing her right when they're doing the guy so well.
yeah,
That's the thing too. If they stuck to, like, all right, but
I mean, we mentioned last season that the professor and Quinn seem to get more of the focus or the shine time. And it's funny because I'm always going to bring up Star Trek, reference. In the original series, the main focus was always on, the talented trio. It was Kirk, Spock, and Bones, right? So that's where the bulk of, you would think, the kind of the character development, the leaders of each of the episodes. In this case, you only have 4 people, right? So it's weird that everybody doesn't kind of equally get that time. We always talk about how something with like Endgame or Infinity War, that each character in that got a moment, right?
Yeah.
And they were dealing with like what, 20?
20 people.
Yeah. So it's just like, so to only have, and we know what it is, right? But to only have 4 people, and you kind of do a disservice a lot of the times with with Remy and Wade. It sucks. So
motherfuckers.
But yeah, I mean, but he's in the Navy now, right? That'll change everything.
Sure.
I swear that was just some random ass shit. Like, I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, wait, what?
Like,
and you had 2 seasons of them like ducking and dodging bullets, and he ain't mentioned this shit once. Would have been a perfect episode for them to mention that, because we know this is like a half-ass thing. When they went to the 70s world, when they met the military, like when he was actually, he could have said something. I remember I was in the military, but because it's an afterthought. It is an afterthought, and sometimes that's kind of how you feel about how they did Remy.
Yeah, very much so. He was never at the front of mind, which is crazy. And also the episode, I can't remember, it was from season 1 when I think it was when Quinn first started getting people killed. It was That World's Wade, when she had that black boyfriend, husband, who were like against fight the power. When he sang at her damn whatever that shit was it that one where he was singing?
Yeah, I went over the bodies. Yeah, when they we made the joke about where they got all those flags. The budget for the war went to them flags.
Even that, like, bring up that I was in the Navy. Like, in the Navy, we send you off this way or whatever. It's like,
well, no, and so like now we think about all these other examples. There was the example of when they went to the monarchy world, and the lady got in his face and said, "Brother, you don't know about the struggle." And first of all, that was questioning his blackness. But then second of all, he could have said something like, I was in the military. Like,
I served my country, bitch. I just, there's too much. There's too much. Yeah. And I give it some grace just by virtue of being the 90s and the programs not being laid out like we have them now. But, like, come on. There were still shows getting them right back then. Yeah. So, well, this is one for the books, I suppose. I don't know, man. But how can we find you and support you?
Y'all can find me. Website is Robert K. Jeffrey, JEFFREY.com, RobertKJeffrey.com. And my Instagram handle is RobertK.Jeffrey, RobertK.JEFFREY. Normally it fits on the screen, but because I said Lord, we made it to season 3, it's not up there. So I'll choose something shorter next time. But those are the 2 ways you can find me.
Yes, indeed. Make sure y'all check those links in the show notes. And me, of course, Carefree Black Nerd. Find me using that handle, Carefree Black Nerd or Carefree Blurred. I'm kind of still on X. I don't know, Twitter, X, whatever. I don't know sometimes. But Bluesky, and should just follow the podcast and listen here and come on back and get into the YouTube. Check these visuals out. And let us know what your thoughts are, what your feelings are. Were we completely wrong? Were we completely right? Who was your favorite and least favorite? Make sure to use that hashtag STTMPod. Let us know what's what. Shit. That's all, folks. So I don't know. Stay carefree, stay nerdy, stay geeky, and if you find yourself on another world where they're like our Hunger Mortal Kombat games, just if you're a woman, I guess just wear blue, have blonde hair. Otherwise, people gonna yell at you. Like, I don't know. Bye.
Bye.